Hello, and welcome to Bloodhaus, the show where we talk about art house horror movies. I'm your host, Joshua Conkel.
And I'm busy making the most important decision of my life, my death selection. I'm not sure. I'll take some time to think about it.
That's my... Wait, what's your name?
Drusilla, welcome to another week of Bloodhaus, baby.
That just reminded me of my favorite line from the movie Heathers, when the hippie teacher catches Winona Ryder in the hallway, and she's like, Veronica, we have to talk. Whether or not to kill yourself is the most important decision a teenager can make.
I know.
It's so funny.
It's like planning for college.
Yeah.
Do
exactly.
I kill myself? Do I not?
That movie is so brilliant. How's it going?
It's going well. Now that things with the move have shuffled out, and my woodworking project is all done, and all my bookcases are up, and all my movies are up, and the house is zipping along. I feel good. I've been working a lot this past week, and at the beginning of the week, my body hit a wall, quite literally, in that after weeks of moving and then working and then like building and like wood staining and painting and doing all this stuff, finally having none of that on my like docket. Last weekend I had nothing to do and I was very relaxed and zen and calm, and it was nice. And then the next day I like had a fever and was achy like just like all of it, like it was nauseous all day, and it was just like hit with like what felt like a really awful flu. And I went to the doctor the next day, and the next day I was fine. And I went to the doctor and he did like all manner of tests for like flu and COVID and stuff like that. And he was like, no, he's like, probably exhaustion and dehydration. Like you just ran yourself ragged. And I was like, oh yeah. My body was just holding on as hard as it could for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And as soon as it didn't need to be, it was like, and done.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I'm feeling better now. I went with two of my best friends to go see Ezra Fuhrman in concert.
Oh, I love Ezra Fuhrman.
It made me so happy. Had I known, I would have invited you. It was a great
I don't go to concerts, but I do love Ezra Fuhrman. I would have appreciated the invite, but I would have said no, thank you.
Understood. I love her so much. I've been a fan of her for like over a decade. And much like Eddie Izzard has been someone that for years has been like, you can come out as trans and it's fine. Like, we all know
I had no
this.
idea that Ezra Fuhrman was transgender until just now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In like 2015, when like they first really popped up on the scene, I was still like closeted but fully aware. And I remember being like, yes, so you're trans, like Jesus Christ. And then like, and you know, they kept being very insistent on, you know, he, him pronouns and stuff like that for a long time. And I was like, okay, music still rocks. Love it all. People's journeys are people's journeys. And then in like 2018, maybe 2019, they put out their single, I Want to Be Your Girlfriend, which is like one of the most like trans songs ever.
Yeah.
And still hadn't like publicly come out. And I'm like, girl, come on. And then like a year or two later, like publicly came out and was like, yeah, I like have like come out and like transitioned like within my like family and friend group for a few years now, but I was like hadn't publicly come out yet. And I'm like, as if the audience demographic for your music was gonna be surprised by this,
right?
But
well,
it was an incredible show.
I bet she did the sex education theme song, right?
I don't know about theme song, but they used her music every season. Every season was like they like pulled major cuts from her latest album and like wallpapered the show in it. And she shows up in one episode, like playing the prom.
And anyway, in any case, I discovered her through season 1 of Sex Education, and I didn't watch any other seasons of Sex Education even though I really liked it. I only watched the first season. And so that's where I discovered her. And so I guess I don't know. After that, I've never seen photos of her, and she comes up on Spotify for me sometimes. And so I guess I just didn't know that she had transitioned.
Yeah. Her
music is great.
Her music is incredible. And she has a lot of albums that are like conceptually like from a trans point of view, and are her not most recent album, but the one before that is like a concept album about like trans history. It's amazing. She's the shit. And as a like Midwestern, like formerly Chicagoan, it makes me very happy to hear her music. It was a very emotional night for me. It was a great time. One of my friends had never heard of her before or listened to her, but was like, yeah, I'm down for a concert, let's go. And midway through had to duck out, but then in the midst of ducking out was like, this was interesting, and I was like, okay.
I also
it's not for you, I guess.
I've pulled up images, and she's really hot, so there's that as well.
Yeah,
I actually thought that she was hot before transition too, so I just wanted to see if she was still hot, and she still looks great.
That's the great thing about transition, is if you're hot, you'll still be hot, if not hotter. I love her so much, and it was a great show, and I've been wanting to get her album Perpetual Motion people for almost a decade at this point, and the like vinyl release has been basically unavailable, and they had one at the show, so I was able to buy it. All the proceeds from her merch table went to support Gaza relief.
Oh, cool.
It's an amazing show. It was like a really like the whole room was nothing but like trans people and queer people, and it was a very impactful, emotional space. It's not that common that I cry at a concert, but I cried at a concert. It was a good time.
That's great.
But I did go to see a movie, and I know it's a movie you went to go see, and I know it's a very hot button topic.
Oh, yes.
And I know people are talking about it, so
we're talking.
We might as well whip out our weapons.
Yes, we both saw Zach Cregger's Weapons this weekend, opening weekend. No spoilers, but I loved it.
Yeah, it's very fun.
I fucking loved it. I think it's so wackadoodle, so funny, pretty scary a lot of the time, like legitimately scary.
There's a very like large amount of dread that builds the whole movie, and even when things are revealed to a large extent in the back half of the film, that dread still hangs and lingers because it's deeply attached to an emotional connection with all of these characters.
Yeah.
There's a whole part of the back half that I found deeply sad.
Yeah. I think what's so good about Zach Cregger for me is that I don't know if I'm entirely buying what I'm about to try and sell, but I think he tries to scare you first. Right? Like a lot of horror comedies to me are not successful because they're worried about being funny first. And so they're often not successful at being funny. And then they also don't scare you.
Yeah.
And he manages to do both. I mean, I think his movies are the humor is grounded in how scared you are a lot of the time. But then the humor is also grounded in like how over the top and extreme it is too. So
yeah, I saw an interview with him talking about Weapons, and of course, like he has a sketch comedy background. He's from Whitest Kids You Know, and so that like it makes sense that he has a really keen like perception of comedy, and one would expect from that it's more out and out comedy. But much like Jordan Peele, he's very focused on who he's friends with.
I think the two of them are like so simpatico in my mind, like. They, to me, are the two filmmakers who are the most successful at making work that is commercial and crowd-pleasing, but also idiosyncratic and like a real director's vision. Do you know what I mean? And I can't think of another horror filmmaker out there today who is doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
except for maybe, what's his name from Sinners?
Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler, but it's his first horror movie, so who knows what he'll do going forward. But
he may not make another horror movie.
Yeah,
he seems like he's bopping between genres.
Yeah,
in a way that, like, because even though Kubrick made The Shining, doesn't mean Kubrick's technically a horror filmmaker. Like, you know,
I have a hot take about Ryan Coogler as well, which is that like people talk about him and they're like, well, it's racism that he doesn't get the same treatment as other filmmakers. And I think that there's some truth to that, but it's like he took the Marvel money.
Yeah.
Sorry, like he took the superhero money, and that dirties your legacy as a filmmaker. It just does to me. I just like he'll never be like a stalwart. I mean, he might be actually, but it will take a long time and a lot of non-Marvel movies for him to have the sheen of like the director's director that he should have and wants to have because of that Marvel money. And that's just the way it is.
I think that Sinners has gone a long way to
I do too, but he'll need like
the
a
stink
couple
of
more
the
Sinners.
superhero money off of it.
yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely. What I was going to say about weapons and Zach Cregger's weaponizing of comedy is that I saw an interview with him talking about weapons, and he was like, you know, from a writing perspective, I always wanted there to be comedy in this. We planned that there was going to be comedy in this, very much so. And some of the bigger like pieces that in the writing and in the shooting that I was like, this is going to be hilarious. This is going to be one of the biggest laughs in the movie. He was like, we screened it with test audiences, and the smaller humor was more effective. And the things that we thought were going to be bigger, more bombastic humor didn't work. And so we cut them out. And I was like, yeah, because he knows the more important angle. And he is very attuned to it. What I really appreciate about now he's made 2 horror films. He's made 3 movies, but everyone just likes to gloss over the teen sex comedy Miss March he made in the 2000s with the other guys from Whitest Kid You Know. But with Barbarian and this one, the humor comes from 2 perspectives, and I think it's really well chosen and really impactful, which is that they come from extremely human moments. If you think about in Barbarian, Justin Long's reaction to discovering the basement is to whip out the measuring tape.
It's so good.
Which is so funny and so like human and real of like, oh, this guy's just a fucking
most
asshole.
Despicable character.
Like, can my square footage go up? Can I charge more? Like, that's really funny. There's moments in Weapons where characters in like extremely dire situations are exasperated and say something that's like desperate but also really funny. And that is both like a release of the tension, but also like grounds you further into these characters because these characters are acting in a way that you can see yourself in.
Yeah.
One of the biggest laughs in the whole movie is there's a scene in Weapons in which Josh Brolin just says, "What the fuck?" And it got like the biggest fuck like laugh possible because
it's like, so relatable.
Yeah. But then the other big use of humor with him is that like he gets so grand guignol with his horror at the end of most of the films. At like their peak and at their climax, he gets so bombastic with it that it like jumps over into horror, and that again is a release. Like you get the like fear, you get the like thing to squelch away from the camera, and then he welcomes you back in by being like, oh no, I can laugh at this, and then it like eases you out. Though I do think the ending of Weapons, while having extremely like crowd cheering, fist pumping, big laughing moments, is still extremely disquieting and ends on a very upsetting note. My main like takeaway from Weapons is that it's very good. I had a really fun time. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I think it's very good and very fun. I think people should go see it. But I do think it is maybe the most successful evocation of Stephen King's writing in a feature film while not being a Stephen King adaptation, because it does
feel like a Stephen King book. You're right.
It does the thing that Stephen King books do so well of like couching you in a town and in people and in their lives and inner dynamics.
And their shifting perspectives.
Yup. And their dreams and their fears and like operating with a lot of that. Salem's Lot, the book, does a lot of that. And then it like follows that through a mystery, and then it leads up to like a big horror reveal, and you figure out what's going on, and it's big and bombastic and wild. But then it like still fits you with like but you're connected through all of these characters emotionally from being with them the whole time, that it like is more grounded and works. And I feel like a good majority of Stephen King film adaptations fail in presenting a lot of that in a proper manner. And so when it gets to your big bombastic monster and stuff at the end, it falls flat because it's taking it too seriously, or it's taking it too comedically. It doesn't get the tone right, or it tries to condense the book down too much that it doesn't give you the time with the characters.
Yeah.
The only other example I can think of that's not written by Stephen King, but is another good example of the King formula is Mike Flanagan's TV work, but especially Midnight Mass.
I was going to say the good adaptation of Salem's Lot is Midnight Mass by Mike Flanagan. And listener, if you have not read Salem's Lot, I've read a lot of classic Stephen King books.
It's my favorite.
I don't know why. Salem's Lot is so scary.
It is terrifying.
So fucking scary. And I don't know why none of the adaptations have come even a fraction of the way of getting to how scary that book is. But
as much as I love Toby Hooper, that Toby Hooper film / miniseries is bad. I don't like it.
It's crazy the gulf between how scary that book is and how not scary the adaptations are. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. But that book is much scarier to me than the book of The Shining, the book of Cujo, the book of you name it. Yeah, exactly. Like Salem's Lot, the book is scarier than all of those other books to me.
Yeah. It makes me very happy to see filmmakers, rather than adapting and struggling with King's work, taking the lessons from his writing and making original things that like use his math essentially. Yeah. I think Weapons is very, very, very good, and I had a hoot watching it. And that's saying a lot because I don't like Julia Garner. Usually, if Julia Garner's in something, I will steer clear of it.
Wait, you didn't like The Wolfman?
I didn't see it.
I did.
I saw Royal Hotel, and that's the majority.
Yeah, I don't think that she's the best actor. I think she's fine in this. She's kind of outclassed by everyone around her, but she's pretty good.
That's fair. I very much buy her as like Midwestern like elementary school teacher. Immediately. I think
she's like too chic and beautiful to be in this town being an elementary school teacher. Do you know what I mean? Like she's clearly like a Silver Lake Bushwick girl, and it's like, what are you doing teaching third grade in this Pennsylvania town?
I know people like that though, so I like I can buy that enough. In the same way where like I also get like Josh Brolin is Josh Brolin, but I still buy him as like a Midwestern like contractor and like little league coach.
Paul the cop is so cute. I want to kiss him. I know that his character is terrible, but the actor is so cute.
Alden Ehrenreich? Yeah.
Oh, he's so cute.
I like that they just gave him John C. Reilly's mustache for Magnolia. I will say the scariest scene in the movie has nothing to do with the overarching like mystery and main horror of the film. It's a scene of him
just losing his shit.
No, it's just a scene of him and a tweaker.
Yeah,
he's like pulled over. That is the scariest scene to me because of the like, it so immediately gets under your skin, is so deeply like upsetting and unnerving.
There's been some accusations of homophobia towards this movie that I think are really misguided. I don't feel like the movie is homophobic, but I will say this. You know, I'm a gay man, and sometimes when I'm not expecting a character to be gay and I'm in a crowded movie theater, I get uncomfortable because I'm worried about how the audience is going to react, because I've been in movie theaters where suddenly there's a gay couple and they kiss and people groan or something. And I think perhaps some people mistake that feeling for the film being homophobic or treating gay characters as a joke. I truly don't think that Zach Cregger is homophobic. I felt like he imbued these characters with a lot of affection, actually.
Extremely. I think he went to a lot of care to show the single most stable relationship is a gay couple in this entire town, in this entire movie.
Yeah. I also think the Asian half of this gay couple did the worst American accent I've ever heard. And
Benedict Wong?
I think his American accent is really terrible. I didn't know who he was, so I looked him up, and in fact, he is British. I was like, why is this guy doing like a New York-ish? Like, why is he doing like Barbara Streisand's accent?
Benedict Wong is a big actor.
I know. I've since learned that his American accent in this movie is not good.
That's fair.
It's not good. It's
That's
misplaced. Fair. It's like not from Pennsylvania. It is a weird kind of Jewish woman from Long Island accent. It's very weird. It's not appropriate to this movie. It's kind of charming in how inappropriate it is to the movie in a weird way. But yeah, that's all I'm saying about that.
It didn't take me out of it.
Me neither. I just noticed it. That's all. I thought he was great in the movie, actually. I mean, otherwise, I think he's great. I'm just saying.
He is very good. He gives a wild performance and really commits. There's a handful of like really amazing committed performances in this movie. And there's also a handful of really amazing little pop-up small performances from actors that I had no idea were going to be in this movie.
Yeah.
That made me really happy.
Super fun to see those people show up.
I know. Even for very small scenes. There's a scene in a liquor store that I didn't expect that actor to even be in the movie. And I was like, oh, that's fun. That's so really scary.
Good. Yeah, it's so fun.
I think it's great. I have also seen people online and also additionally I don't know if you know this, but most of IMDb is now treated like Wikipedia, where people can just like add shit. Mm-hmm. And the trivia page for weapons has now been flooded with stuff like this, in which people are like, well, there's a lot of people. I've seen people online posting this and then it getting like filtered into the trivia page for IMDb for the movie, which is people being like, oh, there's a lot of like mention of like parasites in like classroom, like, being like taught as like the lecture in the classroom and stuff like that. Yeah. And like it's parasites are being talked about on TV a lot. And that's a theme because a lot of the other characters in this movie are drug addicts and they're parasites on the American society, and they're they're social leeches. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What a wild takeaway. What a wild takeaway to go that deep when there's a very obvious parasite.
There's like, there's like one giant example of that, but your fucking unhinged brain has to be like, oh, it's because there's addicts in this. Oh my God. Parasites, they're a leech in society.
People are so stupid. When we got home, Joel loved the movie too, and we got home and he was looking it up online. He's like, babe, there's so many videos that are like ending of weapons explained. And I was like, what is it? What is there to explain? It's so obvious. It's like not obscure.
There is one mystery that goes unexplained by the entire movie, and that's how many hot dogs are in a tray and how many people are planning to eat said hot dogs.
Shout out to Jose, our friend Jose, who's been on the show, who texted us before either of us saw the movie and said, there's a certain scene and I want you to count how many hot dogs are on the tray and then how many people are meant to eat those hot dogs. And we're passing that on to you, listener, who, if you have not seen the movie, it's a really fun little mini activity for the movie.
It's great. I highly recommend it. And it was a great excuse after the film for me to then send you my favorite Whitest Kids You Know sketch.
Yes. Speaking of how dumb people are, no. I just wanted to talk about one thing briefly, which is that this is a show about art house horror movies. And once again, this week, I saw people on Blue Sky complaining about the term elevated horror in the year of our Lord 2025. And I was like, I'm going to lose my fucking mind if I see this again. And so I decided to literally put my money where my mouth is. And I posted, hey, if anyone could find me an example of a journalist using the term elevated horror from this decade in a way that is earnest and not complaining about the term, but just like earnestly using the term, I will Venmo you $5. Now, I am just smug enough that I expected to pay no money. I expected...
You texted me about it, and I literally said to you, this is the most sound financial decision you've made in your entire life.
I was like... I'm not going to pay a single dollar on this. But in the back, but I also said to myself in the back of my mind, I was like, all right, if I hit $25, I'll delete the post and I'll apologize. I'll admit that I was wrong and that this is something to worry about. Now, I'll tell you up front that I did have to pay some money. Guess how much money I paid? $5 per example.
I'm going to say either $5 or $10.
$10. That post is still
Oh,
up, by the way, so people could theoretically still do it. I'm not going to do it anymore, so don't try it, listener. But I Googled myself, and I could only find the two examples that were given to me, which both felt like very out of touch. They felt like articles from the 2010s. Frankly, it felt like people who were really out of touch.
okay. Now I'm gonna maybe call you out and maybe call these people out. Who are the two critics? And
I would have to find
and
them.
what were the two films they were reviewing?
Well, they were about a bunch of different films. Both of
Gotcha.
them were. It was about like the moment. One of them was Collider, and I don't know who the journalist was, and I don't remember the other outlet. I would have to go through my Blue Sky, and because I'm addicted to Blue Sky, that would take a long time because I post like 25 times a day. So I think I'm still right. I think two examples does not illustrate to me that this is a problem that people are using this term, right? Like people in all of the 2020s, in all of the journalistic outlets, people can only find two examples, which I think still proves me right that it's like, shut the fuck up about this term. No one's using this term. It's over. Like, forget about it. The monster's dead.
Yeah.
You can stop clout posting about this.
The Collider elevated horror thing that I found was a like listicle of like the 10 scariest elevated horror movies, and it's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's like, fucking shut up.
Is it from this decade?
It's from last year.
Oh yeah, okay, that's probably the one.
It's there's multiple Collider like top 10 elevated horror film lists. One of them is from earlier this year, and the title is "This Really Is the Golden Age of Elevated Horror, and These 10 Movies Prove It."
That's the one that was sent to me. So someone could have earned more money from Collider. I'm going to have to take that post down. But so it's all Collider's fault, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen,
I don't disagree.
I just think that this is like not really a problem. It seems to me as like this term elevated horror movie is not really in use. It's more like a boogeyman for people to like clout chase on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, 100%. And further, I think it's like, it's kind of used as like a social justice-y reason for people to not engage with movies that challenge them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sort of anti-intellectualism, but it has the sheen of like social justice-y. Like, I'm fighting against the man because I don't watch art movies. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It feels like anti-intellectualism wrapped up in like some sort of like cause.
Exactly. Like, how dare you say that this horror movie has things? I just want to see Art the Clown splatter people. Like,
exactly. Which feels conservative.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. The real elevated horror film, there's only, as far as I can tell, 2 elevated horror movies in all of existence. Maybe listeners can chime in and tell me if I'm wrong. And that would be the M. Night Shyamalan produced film Devil and the film Lift. 2 movies that are horror films about elevators.
About elevators.
They are the only 2 elevated horror films. That's all I care about.
Yes. And with that, we could put the term to bed.
Next week on Bloodhaus, we cover Devil and why the toast flipping the other way around means that the devil is in the elevator.
Well, this week we are covering a movie that Drusilla picked. It is a movie that she had seen that I had not. Oh boy, I loved this movie so much. From 1966, directed by the legendary John Frankenheimer, starring the legendary Rock Hudson. It is Seconds.
Bold. Bizarre. Terrifying. Rock Hudson, in an astonishing change of pace, stars in Seconds. Rock Hudson as a second, freed from all responsibilities, now ready to taste new pleasures.
Different kind of seconds, but okay.
I loved this.
I'm so glad. I'm so fucking glad. This is
What
a
a
movie
banger.
that I feel like has like ebbed and flowed in time with like public consciousness and like cult appeal, because when it came out, it was a big fucking bomb. Even European critics hated it.
Well, it looks like, I mean, the cinematography was nominated for an Academy Award, and it was
Yes.
entered into the Cannes Film Festival.
It was entered into the Cannes Film Festival, and the French critics hated it. They like teared it apart.
And a lot of people don't know this, but the Cannes Film Festival is really like a market. So kind of like anything can be in the Cannes Film Festival, because that's where they're trying to like sell movies for distribution.
Exactly.
So
but also if you think about the Cannes Film Festival circa 1966, like when Fellini is there and Antonioni is there, like, and then the Americans roll, like John Frankenheimer, fresh off of The Manchurian Candidate, 7 Days in May, and The Train, which I will get into later. This is in the peak of John Frankenheimer's best run ever, and one of the best runs a director's ever had. Shows up with an extremely American pseudo sci-fi, pseudo horror, pseudo art film starring Rock Hudson, fresh off of his Doris Day movies. And the French critics had this perception of like, Hollywood's trying to be us, they'll never be us, boo hiss. And apparently Frankenheimer was shooting Grand Prix when this was at Cannes. So he was in the south of France, and he was told by the producers not to go to Cannes. It was doing so poorly.
Yeah.
So whatever. And then in like the 80s and 90s, with the advent of home video, and like, you know, rep screenings and stuff like that, it got a really big like cultural resurgence, and people rediscovered it in the 90s. Of course, with the added context following the death of Rock Hudson, following kind of the cultural knowledge of his queerness, that gave a whole new lens to the film additionally. But also, you know, in a post Terry Gilliam, post 12 Monkeys world, people were more primed for a weirdly surrealist sci-fi horror like this.
Yeah.
And it was really popular as like a 60s cult film in the 90s, and then it kind of disappeared again, and then Criterion put it out in like the early 2010s, and it got a bit more attention then, and I feel like it's kind of been forgotten about again, maybe. But I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies. When we chose it for the podcast, after we chose it, I was out with my girlfriend, and I was like, oh, with the next movie, Josh let me pick the next movie for the podcast, and I picked one of my favorite movies ever. We're going to do Seconds. And she was like, one of your favorite movies ever. You've never talked about it. And I was like, really? That feels wrong. This is a movie that when I was like in high school and college, watched a lot. It's got opening titles by Saul Bass. It's got a poster by Saul Bass. It's like it's one of the handful of 1960s movies that's like American filmmaking attempting surrealism that I really love. It's a movie about human identity that's really upsetting and thoughtful. I deeply love Rock Hudson as a performer and as a person. And it got me into John Frankenheimer, who is like one of the best directors of the 60s and of the past 50, 70 years. He kept making bangers into the 90s, like Ronin with De Niro is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. This movie really, 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 really rips, and it's like Hollywood existentialism in a way that I feel like doesn't really get made ever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of crazy that this hasn't had a remake, don't you think? It would be
I know.
a great movie to remake.
I know.
Maybe I'll pitch it. Maybe I'll take this to my reps on Monday morning and be like, hey, let's get this. This is a funny bit of trivia. I'm reading this from the Wikipedia. Seconds became known for its connection to the Beach Boys' Brian Wilson. The story, which originated in the October 1967 magazine article entitled Goodbye Surfing, Hello God, goes that when he arrived late to a theater showing of Seconds, he appeared to be greeted with the on-screen dialogue, "Come in, Mr. Wilson." He was convinced for some time that rival producer Phil Spector, one of the film's investors, was taunting him through the movie, and that it was written about his recent traumatic experience and intellectual pursuits, going so far as to note that even the beach was in it, a whole thing about the beach. He later canceled the Beach Boys' forthcoming album Smile, and the film reportedly frightened him so much that he did not visit another movie theater until 1982's E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Brian Wilson was so fucking insane.
I love Brian Wilson. Be nice to Brian Wilson.
I know, but he
People
was
be
insane.
nice to Brian Wilson.
He was insane.
He dealt with a significant mental illness issues. This is true. But
yes,
also,
cancel me. I called Brian Wilson insane.
But also, I mean, this is an upsetting movie. But also, I don't know how much of that story is true. I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know. It is funny.
The whole there's a whole thing in about the beach, and I'm in a band about the beach. Seems like
how many movies have Malibu in them in the 1960s? Like, did he freak out if he went and saw Gidget? Who knows?
Oh my god! This movie, I will say, as a 60s film, is one of the best reactions to the rise of 60s youth culture by the at the time middle-aged elite of trying to understand what's happening in the world. And the setup of this movie is all these men that received the promise of World War II of a house in the suburbs and a good job and a wife and a family and kids by the late 60s are seeing the sexual revolution happen, and they're seeing the hippies
kind of feeling left out,
being bored and feeling left out and feeling like they want to get involved and feel like they missed out on something big, but also the attempt to capture it is more horrifying than to be on the sidelines.
That's such an interesting way of looking at it. I was thinking about that a lot during this movie because I've been thinking about baby boomers a lot. My mom recently passed away and she was a hippie, and even before then, I'd been thinking about it because the hippies are so elderly now, and they have been the baby boomers have been in control for so long, hippies and otherwise. And really, they are the luckiest generation of Americans that have ever existed. And I think a lot, I was raised by hippies. And so for me, I was raised to believe that they're the coolest, most liberatory generation because of the sexual revolution and civil rights. And in a lot of ways that's true. But I've come to have a lot more sympathy for this generation who's making this movie and writing this book, AKA my grandparents' generation.
The greatest generation.
The greatest generation, they're called, or sometimes I think the silent generation. Because they just were one of the unluckiest generations of all time. And they persevered so much and sacrificed so much. And then finally accomplished some level of stability for their children, who then grew up to call that stability oppressive.
Yep.
And shook it off. You know what I mean? You can only, the whole focus of the 60s generation, which has become the focus of our entire culture, is extreme individualism. And you can only view that as important when all your material needs are met, which they were for hippies. And they haven't been met for any generation after the hippies. And so we've lost at least, I'm only speaking for the United States, although I assume this is true for other Western nations. We've lost our sense of collectivism, of what the greater good. Everything is about the self, and that's viewed as good. And you are starting to see the tears in that ideology, like when there's a giant pandemic, for example, or you know what I mean? Everything can't be about the self. And so through the lens of this movie, I do sympathize with these characters, but it is a very kind of baby boomer movie in that respect, because Arthur is a character who's a elderly. I mean, they call him middle-aged, but he's actually elderly. I mean, he's like 60.
Yeah.
Businessman in Manhattan, and it's very like The Man in the Gray Suit. It's very Mad Men. He rides the train to Scarsdale, where he has a perfect house and a perfect wife, but he's dissatisfied. And so he has this opportunity to start over. Now, what I did find really sad was that the agency convinces him successfully that his wife and his adult daughter don't love him. And that like really hurt my feelings for some reason. I felt like, that's not true, Arthur. That's not true. But, you know, you can only get at this like existential dread that he's feeling. If I don't know, it's like he has everything. And so it's a little bit hard in 2025 to like feel sympathetic, which I am able to do, but because I understand this moment in a historical way, just through having lived for 45 years and reading and watching a lot of films about this time or from this time. But yeah, that's getting harder and harder for me to intellectualize and empathize with.
Well, I mean, we'll get into the plot for a second, but before we do that, I do want to say that I think what's great about this film and what makes this movie still resonate and be timeless is that the way that Frankenheimer and the incredible cinematographer James Wong Howe shoot this film from minute one, especially like aided and abetted by Saul Bass's like horrifying opening title sequence.
So good.
It immediately puts you off ease. Like, we open following Arthur through Grand Central Station to go catch his train.
Yeah.
And you're immediately horrified by the crowd. You're stuck with him. You see the like dead-eyed malaise on his face. The way the camera moves with his body and jostles between the crowd, the wide-angle lenses, the extreme close-ups they use make it extremely uncomfortable. And you immediately understand from the way that sequence is shot and edited and put together that this man has lived in this moment every day for decades. This is horrifying. Yeah. And he is reaching like his wit's end with this.
There's actually interesting trivia about that scene, which is that Frankenheimer was frustrated that he couldn't get that shot because people kept looking at the camera. And so he had two actors on the other side of Grand Central Station play out like a fake romance scene in a movie with cameras to draw the crowds away from the actor playing Arthur, so that he could film this sequence in peace, which I think is so smart and funny.
He hired two models specifically. Yeah. And additionally, a good bit of that Grand Central Station sequence was shot by putting a very small 16 millimeter camera in a suitcase with a hole cut out in it, which is like so fucking awesome. And
so cool.
I want to get back to the cinematography because there's a lot to say about it and about James Wong Howe. But let's just generally give a plot overview because this is a movie I have a feeling a lot of people haven't seen. It's a 1960s Paramount film. It's not easily available.
Well, it's on Criterion now because it's on the Criterion channel. If you have that app,
hell yeah,
that's where I watched it, I believe, or at least it's rentable if it's not there.
Yeah.
So Arthur Hamilton is an older businessman and works in Manhattan every day. Rides the train home to Scarsdale. Has a beautiful wife named Emily and an adult daughter who we never meet. He's depressed. He doesn't like his life. He's disappointed. And one day he's on the train home and someone hands him a note with an address on it. Additionally, he's been getting calls from his old friend from Harvard, from his Harvard days, who he believes is dead. So, of course, he's very bewildered. He goes to this address, which turns out to be a laundromat. And the man at the laundromat is like, oh, this business moved somewhere else. So he goes and finds this place. And it turns out it's a business called The Agency. And what they're offering him is to be reborn. They will fake his death, give him extreme plastic surgery, and give him a whole new life as someone else somewhere far away. And so he goes through this after they successfully convince him that his wife and child don't love him.
He signs
and
over power of attorney, gives him 20 grand, like.
And they kind of entrap him. They film him. They drug him and film him in a room, seemingly, but not really, taking advantage of a young woman. So he gets extreme plastic surgery and wakes up looking like Rock Hudson. They tell him he's a famous painter now. They move him to Malibu. He is now living a bohemian life in Malibu. He meets a really quirky, beautiful young woman named Nora, played wonderfully by Salome Jens. They have a romance. But he's still not satisfied, and it kind of all unravels, and he wants to go back to the agency and try to start over a second time. And I don't want to spoil the ending, but that's kind of it, right?
Yeah. It's, well, I mean, I will also say he also starts to long for the life that he left behind.
Yeah.
And the life
There's a great scene where he goes and visits his wife, but now, with Rock Hudson's face. Heartbreaking scene.
I did see that there is a scene in the book that it's based on. I was trying to look up the author and the book that it's based on, and truly every other book that this guy wrote is like from the author of Seconds. Remember Seconds? He wrote Seconds. And it's like, oh, okay, I see. But there's a scene in the book that they filmed for the movie where he also goes to visit his adult daughter, who's just had a child herself. And she's played by John Frankenheimer's wife, Evans Frankenheimer. And her husband is played by a young Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, wow.
And he like visits with them and visits with their child and stuff like that. And that was cut out. And apparently Frankenheimer was like, we don't need it. We already have a meeting with the wife. It's too much.
I think that's true, actually.
Which I agree. But the author of the book was really mad about it because he was like, you have the shot at the very end of him walking on a beach with a kid. That's the kid from that scene. It makes no sense now. And it's like, no, it's more interesting if you don't have the connection point. It's fine. It works. You don't have to explain everything.
The house that in Malibu that they provide him with is so beautiful. His whole Malibu
John
life
Frankenheimer's house.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
The whole Malibu life. I'm living for that, man. I would love to have that life. Like the house. His homosexual servant, John, like the big homosexual vibes between the two of them. Yeah.
Delicious. There's so much of the whole nightmare of this movie is an exceptionally capitalist American dream nightmare of golden handcuffs. Mm-hmm. Of like, you've gotten or almost like the monkey's paw of like, you've gotten everything that you wanted. Here it is.
Yeah.
Here's your zoo enclosure. Here's your trap. Here's your box. This is what you wanted. This is your house in the suburbs. And this is your marriage of 50 years and your 9-to-5 job and your train ride. Or here is your young body and your house in Malibu. But like the house in Malibu is gorgeous. And like, he gets to sit there and paint all day. I love the explanation of like, but I can't draw. And they're like, it's fine. We have pre-packaged paintings that will ship out to you. You're only a middling artist, so people won't be that suspicious.
Yeah.
And we'll ship out paintings to you, and you'll work and develop your own skill as time goes on, and then it'll just be seen as if you change styles. That happens all the time.
I would love that for writing, to be honest. I'm already like a middling writer, but I would like, if I could have that happen to me for writing, I'd be really happy.
It's a pretty clutch setup. But even then, once he gets that house, it's in that life, it's incredibly sterile and empty and hollow and cold and depressing.
I guess. I mean, he's being
super
kind of a wet
isolated.
blanket about it. Don't you think?
Well, I mean, like, this movie reminds me a lot of the David Fincher movie, The Game, with Michael Douglas. I'm sure you've seen it, which for listeners that don't know is Michael Douglas is a super rich, like CEO or executive type, who is mean and has no friends. And for his birthday, his brother signs him up for The Game, which is a company that he goes to their offices of, and they're like, we tool a game just for you. It's whatever you want. We match it to your personality. And all of a sudden people are trying to kill him, and he doesn't know what's going on, and he doesn't know if it's the game or not, and whatever. And the whole point of that movie is to shake a cold, isolated man out of his existence to make him be more connected to the world around him and make him more present and make him more kind. It's like, A Christmas Carol, essentially. I don't think that movie's very effective at achieving that theme. I think it's a bad movie. But Seconds is the opposite of it, which is a man that has a loving wife and has like his daughter's moved out but does have a family and has like, a stable middle class existence. But because of the like open chasm of capitalist hell and desire, feels unfulfilled. But also I'm sure there are like emotionally unfulfilled aspects of his life because he's not going to therapy and he's not talking to his wife
and we know wealthy successful people that aren't happy. I mean, that's not
exactly
undocumented phenomenon.
However, what the movie does is they convince him further that what he has is meaningless and that he should aspire to something else. And then once he gets to that, vacation destination, essentially realizes he wants to go back home and starts to appreciate what he had more, only to realize that he sold it out for this. I think it's really, I don't know, I love it. I think it's extremely terrifying.
There's genuinely very creepy moments throughout this movie. Although, I mean, I guess I would classify it as a science fiction movie rather than a horror movie. Not that that matters at all. But it's genuinely very discomforting throughout. And the end of the movie really, really upset me. And
Rock Hudson's performance in the end of the movie is balls to the wall.
He's so good in this. I think, first of all, not that this matters either, but I think it's funny that all of the like literature about this, like the synopsis on the disc and like the Wikipedia describes Arthur as like a middle-aged businessman, because Arthur is in fact elderly and Rock Hudson is middle-aged. Rock Hudson is 40 in this movie. So actually he's an elderly man who becomes middle-aged, not a middle-aged man who becomes young. But that's neither here nor there.
One of the things that I really love about Hudson's performance is that even once he goes through the surgery and he goes through his physical therapy and then he gets to the Malibu house and stuff like that, he still has like the eyes of an old man. He still kind of moves slowly.
He feels like Arthur.
He still feels exactly like him, which is amazing. Apparently, Frankenheimer wanted Frank Sinatra or someone like that to be the lead. There's a few different actors that he wanted, and the studio said no. And the studio said, "What about Rock Hudson?" And he was like, "Ugh." And then met with Rock Hudson and was like, "Oh no, you would work." But apparently, the original idea was to just put Rock Hudson in old age makeup to play Arthur. And Rock Hudson was the one who was like, "That's not going to work.
Yeah,
it needs to be a different person, and then I'll come in." And he's so good at playing that. The sequence where he kind of goes to the wine making, grape stomping, hippie lovin'
Drusilla
is so upsetting. But also,
I hate it so much.
Me too. It makes my skin crawl.
It made my skin crawl.
Yeah.
Jinx. I was like, ugh, get me out of this.
It's very
I would have
upsetting.
the exact same reaction as him.
But okay, cool. The one thing that I thought about a lot on this rewatch is like, okay, you gave him plastic surgery. He's now hot, hunky Rock Hudson. That's awesome. But inside, both spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, whatever, he's an elderly man.
And I wonder,
but also bodily,
right? Like he's still a 60-year-old man. Actually, he looks like Rock Hudson, but like, is he going to die in 10 or 20 years? Like at 70 or 80? I don't know. It doesn't talk about that, but
I mean, they intentionally never mention it because it's like, oh, here's all these things that you want. Here's all this beautiful thing. And they never mention it. And it's never like, oh, we'll give you 50 more years. We'll give you immortality. It's not that. So Frankenheimer is very famous for his run from the early 60s until the late until literally 66, Grand Prix came out the same year as this, and that's kind of like seen as the end of that. He came back, of course, with French Connection 2, which is good. Holcroft Covenant, 52 Pickup, and then the amazing Ronin in the late 90s. But the 60s run is really amazing, and it's like highlighted and marked not just by like genre and thriller films, but specifically by political films.
Mm-hmm.
Birdman of Alcatraz, Manchurian Candidate, 7 Days in May, The Train, and Seconds. But especially Manchurian through Seconds are extremely political films. Manchurian Candidate, which is, of course, a film about a coup d'etat and about like assassination attempts and hypnosis and brainwashing, political brainwashing. 7 Days in May is about a military coup d'etat, the American military rising up and trying to murder the president. It's fucking terrifying. It's really good. The Train is Burt Lancaster is on a train and is trying, it's like set during the end of World War II when like after Hitler is dead, but some of the Nazis are trying to smuggle like great European painting masterworks out of the country so they can like abscond with them. And Lancaster is like the head of the French resistance who is tasked with like stopping the train so that they can preserve the art and not have it be ruined and corrupted and stolen by the Nazis. And then of course Seconds is a more interpersonal like political concept of the way that human bodies are being like sold and commodified and we're having our future sold out from underneath us. I find Seconds to be one of the most, I think all of those movies are incredibly timely, especially in the 60s for the JFK assassination with Manchurian Candidate, but especially right now in this moment, I think The Train and Seconds and 7 Days in May are so timely. Watching Seconds this time, I kept thinking about all of those fucking rich guys that have social media and like YouTube accounts that are like, I'm injecting myself with like my son's blood so I can stay 18 forever.
Yeah,
and,
I
like,
thought of that guy too.
Fucking horrifying. That is like, that man would found the company in seconds. He would found the agency.
Absolutely. There's a philosopher speaker who's very popular amongst leftist circles, and I'm never sure how to say his name. I think he's Slovenian, and his name is, I'm taking a stab here, Slavoj
Žižek.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I've never.
He's
sure how to say
a
his
massive
name.
transphobe. Anyway, continue.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a.
I didn't know that. He's like a big Marxist, philosopher, basically.
Yes.
And apparently, he wrote a book called "The Pervert's Guide to Ideology."
Yes, there's a documentary of it as well.
He discusses this movie in that book, and he discusses it as an example of what the horrors that happen when people's desires are fulfilled, not unfulfilled, but fulfilled. And I think that's an interesting take.
I mean, that kind of is it. I mean, again, like we were saying, Arthur is living a life with a house in Scarsdale.
He has everything.
Like, he has everything on that, we in 2025 are like, well, we'll never have that.
Yeah, and we won't. We're not going to.
And his aspiration to the, bohemian Malibu existence is even less out of our reach and out of our purview. And for him, it's also a nightmare.
He gets it twice and still feels the same thing, which is the point. Like
every time you hold up a number 2, the balloons come up over the screen.
Yeah,
I hate it. Oh my God.
I know, it's so stupid.
But again, like that central theme and idea of this movie, I mean, by a different filmmaking team, this could be really bland and stagey, and it could be like, oh, a man's riding the train and he looks sad, and then he goes to an office and they say, we can give you this, and then he's in a house in Malibu and he's got some paintings and the man looks sad still, and okay, that's it. And it could be very like stagey, blocky like that. There's plenty of like TV directors in the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a Twilight Zone episode, except that it's more than that because of the execution of it.
Exactly. The thing that Frankenheimer and James Wong Howe and Haskell Wexler step in and do, and I think who's the editor? Ferris Webster and David Newhouse. There's 2 editors on this movie, which should give you a clue how it was edited. The cinematography and editing in this movie is so goddamn claustrophobic and horrifying. James Wong Howe, it should be noted, is maybe the most celebrated Asian cinematographer of all time.
Mm-hmm.
He came up in the silent era. He was in his 60s or almost 70s by the time he made Seconds. But Seconds looks like, a young scrappy student film almost in the way that they're shooting. Like everything's handheld, wide angle lenses. They're like building weird rigs to strap the camera onto like gurneys or onto people's. The opening sequence of Arthur walking through Grand Central Station has what is now a very commonly used technique of having the camera attached to his body so that as he moves, the camera moves, and it's very disorienting. Martin Scorsese and Spike Lee have taken that. Scorsese especially is very well known for it in like Wolf of Wall Street and Mean Street. Mean Streets and Wolf of Wall Street. Good God. But it's so fucking unnerving and terrifying in this movie. The sequence that you mentioned where the agency convinces him that he's taken advantage of a woman is like these huge forced perspective sets that look like something out of a Tim Burton film.
Yeah.
So many shots in this movie are shot with these spherical wide angle lenses that give you this really distorted image. And it's all complemented by these like distorted mirror opening title sequences that Saul Bass filmed. Every frame of this movie is designed to make you feel ill at ease while also making you feel inside of this character. It's so good. They use actual footage from actual rhinoplasties during the surgery sequence.
It's so good.
It's nasty.
I really want to quickly talk about Salome Yens, who plays Nora. I think she's so extraordinary in this movie. I was like, who is this woman? I realized that I know her from Mary Hartman, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. She plays the receptionist at Tom's factory where he works, and she's kind of the town slut because she's divorced. And Tom has an affair with her and gets VD, which he then brings back to Mary, which is played for comedy. But all the scenes that she's in, she's kind of like, even though it's a sitcom, she plays it for like kind of like quiet devastation. And I've always thought, like, who's this actress? Like, she's so good. This character is so tragic. And here she is in this movie. And I thought she was so good and beautiful. The character is detestable from the moment that she shows up when she's like a manic pixie dream girl yelling at the ocean. And then she divulges that she's left her husband and children, and so that kind of gives her something in common with him in a way that he can't tell her, of course, that he has to keep private. But it like is a shortcut to him falling in love with her. Their relationship, that whole sequence is just so good. And then the betrayal, which I don't want to spoil. I guess I already did because I said betrayal, but like it's devastating. Like all of that is devastating, and she's so good.
There's a great question at the core of her character that the film never fully answers, which is whether or not she is an aspect of his treatment, whether or not she's like hired by the agency to be a manic pixie dream girl, or whether or not she herself is another second, someone that's gone through this process. And it's both interpretations of that have different, very weird looming consequences.
Well, I think the movie does say that she's hired by the company. So I think it implies that she's not a reborn herself, but that she's like an employee.
Yeah, I think it was just, I mean, it could be that she was, and then,
and then
being
started
sent.
working there.
But, there's also some scenes near the end of this movie which are horrifying and upsetting.
The end is really scary.
Which implies that the agency may be only offering their services to men.
Yeah, that was my assumption.
Yeah. I also, one of the things that I really appreciate especially on this viewing of the film, was that the like head of the agency, who like there's like 3 different people at the agency that he meets that kind of like either sell him on it or then take him through it. And the like one who's like pitched as being like the owner and president and stuff is an old man.
Yeah.
He's like a very like folksy little old man. And he just the entire time you're like, oh, okay, old man, very folksy, kind, generous. I could see how you would like see authority in there and listen to him and trust him. But at the same time, there is this like weird undercurrent question of like, if this service is so good, why hasn't he used it?
Yeah.
Why is he still an old man? Like,
similarly, when Tony or Arthur, whichever name you want to use, finally runs into his old friend from Harvard in person again, it's like, oh,
Murray Hamilton from Jaws.
Yeah, he's so good. It makes your stomach drop, though. It's like so brutal.
Extremely. I love the other actors that play the men at the agency that are like working for the agency that like take him through his process. Kai Day, who plays Davalo, the guy with the little mustache who like tells him about his painting.
Looks like Salvador Dali or whatever.
He's also in Manchurian Candidate. He's such an incredible actor. He's got that very like cherubic face, who's like so overly kind and like saying some of the most horrifying things, but it's like, it's great. You're gonna have a great time. We'll do it all for you. And then the other guy who is like telling him about the process and being like, oh, it looks like your dinner came. Do you want to have some? It looks really good. And then it's like, are you gonna eat that? Can I? And starts eating his food in front of him.
I mean, the whole agency is terrific. It feels like what's that show on Apple that's so popular? Severance. It feels kind of like Severance, you know? It feels like a little bit abstracted or otherworldly in a sci-fi way. I loved it. I love this movie. I think it's just extraordinary in every way. Good. 5 stars.
So many people have this perception of like, Rock Hudson's a big old hunk. He can be goofy, do little accents with, I mean, yes, he is a big old hunk. But like, there's this like himbo aspect of like, oh, he's not a good actor. He's just hot. Like, he's good in Pillow Talk and on those Rock and Doris Day movies. And, you know, he's serviceable in the Douglas Sirk movies. But those are really Jane Wyman's show or whatever. Yeah. But like, watch fucking Seconds. Like,
he's great in this.
His performance at the end is so deeply upsetting. And like, it's like full body. It's so good.
Loved.
And this should have been his like comeback relaunch film, and instead it killed his career. Which is really unfortunate.
But he also had like a terrible drinking problem, and I know at the end of his life, like Elizabeth Taylor had to like force people to hire him. She had to like blackmail people into hiring him. So, you know,
I mean, if Liz tells you to do it, you do it.
She would be like, "I'll do this if you hire Rock to do that." You know what I mean? She was doing that kind of stuff for him. So.
Okay, but also, pot calling the kettle black. Liz, put the drink down yourself.
Let's pivot and play our favorite game, Have They Seen It? The game where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen this movie. I mentioned earlier Mary Hartman. That is one of the less known, but I think best shows by the legendary television impresario Norman Lear. Do you think Norman Lear, R.I.P., ever saw Seconds? I think he would love it.
I think he definitely would have seen it. I feel like a lot of those like big TV producers in the 60s, Rod Serling, you know, all those guys, I feel like absolutely would have gone to see Seconds and had a really good time.
Do you think this is like a separate? Do you think do you think there's ever been a television producer as good or as important as Norman Lear in the history of television?
No.
Me neither.
Hard and flat no. The only person that came close was James L. Brooks.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Good call. But he's very much like a student of Norman Lear also. Yeah. Chuck Lorre, you will never be Norman Lear.
Chuck Lorre is Evil.
Evil.
Do you know that you're not allowed to make eye contact with him if you work on one of his shows?
God.
Anyway.
Really quickly, have you seen any of the films that Norman Lear directed?
I don't think so.
He directed a really amazing movie. He may have only directed one that I really love. It's called Cold Turkey. It's from 1971.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a dark comedy, slight political satire about a cigarette company in like the late 60s, early 70s, when the government is cracking down on them and saying like, you can't market to like kids. You can't you like have to admit that this is addictive.
Yeah.
Like you need to put Surgeon General warnings on this and stuff. And Bob Newhart plays an executive at the cigarette company that decides that to prove them wrong, he's going to run a campaign where if one town in America can give up smoking for an entire month, the cigarette company will pay them like $1 million or something like that.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good.
And so it's about a like steel belt town that since the like government contracting plant has been shut down is like desolate, and they're like running out of money and they have no idea what to do. And the local priest is played by Dick Van Dyke, and he convinces the town to give up smoking to like win this. That way they can get like attention on the town. They can maybe get a new plant to come in and like bring new jobs into the town. And then the $1 million will like spread evenly between the townsfolk and help everyone save their homes. It's so funny. It's so smart. Tom Poston is also in it, who was also in Newhart. And it turns into this big bombastic multi-character, almost Altman-esque story of all these people like painfully not being able to give up smoking, and then also Bob Newhart sneaking into the town to try and like get people to smoke. It's really funny. It's really mean. It's super underseen, and I highly recommend it
this week. That sounds so good.
You will love this movie, Josh.
That sounds so good to me.
Norman
Lear, yes.
Norman Lear, yes. Speaking of people that are famous from television, we know that famed TV and Emmy winner and murderer Alec Baldwin has seen the film Seconds. It is one of his favorite movies. He is on he's on the Criterion disc talking about how much he loves this movie. And I will just really quickly say that he says something real fucking weird in the interview on it, where he's like, it's one of those movies where you know it's a good movie when you're there and you're at home with your wife, and your wife says, we gotta go run out, we gotta go shopping, and then you say, okay honey, we'll do the shopping. And then you turn the TV on and Seconds is on. And so you sit down and you start putting your tie on, you start putting your clothes on, and you start watching Seconds, and you can't turn it off until your wife screams at you and gets mad at you, and you say, okay, honey, we'll do the shopping. And you're like, what are you talking about?
Has anyone ever hated his wife as much as
First of all,
Alec Baldwin?
His
fake Spanish wife.
What TV station is just playing Seconds? First of all. And second of all, other than maybe TCM, but like, which would only played it when he came on as a guest host. But like, additionally, like, stop just being like, oh, my wife just wants to go shopping or whatever. It's like, okay, honey, whatever. Like, just say you hate your wife.
Yeah.
Just say you hate your wife. It's okay.
Remember the voicemail he left for his daughter that was like, you little pig or whatever?
Yeah. Oh my God. He's a mess. Anyway.
I love him so much. I'm sorry.
Anyway, he's a huge fan of Seconds. He has guest hosted in spotlights on TCM and stuff like that. Most well known for a lot of people these days as being Jack Donaghy on 30 Rock. Do you think that the creator of that show, who I think is one of the other great TV impresarios, do you think Tina Fey has seen Seconds?
I don't. And I actually don't think she would like it if she did. I love her. So it's not a judgment on her. I'm a big, big fan. I just feel like it's not her bag. I feel like in a lot of ways, she's very anti-intellectual. I think she's just somebody who loves Star Wars and like she wants to watch Star Wars and that's what makes her happy. I think she's that kind of person.
She's also guest hosted TCM, but I feel like whenever she does, she's bringing in like Katharine Hepburn movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's bringing in like Woman of the Year and stuff like that. Yeah.
This is not for her. And as much as I love her, I don't think she's seen this and I don't think that she would like it.
Yeah. I don't think that genre movies and horror movies like this appeal to her. I feel like to use one of your phrases, she would call this a boy movie.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't imagine her watching any horror movie. I mean, can you imagine watching Nightmare on Elm Street with
Tina Fey?
I don't think she's into that, you know? Like, I just don't think it's her bag. And it is what it is.
I would love to do it. I would love to make Tina Fey watch Suspiria. Like,
yeah.
I think that would be fun. I will say, I think Seconds makes a great middle-aged ennui double bill with Tina Fey's latest show, The Four Seasons. Or the Alan Alda movie that's based on. I think maybe the two of those would go very well together.
Do you know what Tina Fey would hate? You just made me think of it. She would hate the 2018 Suspiria so much. Yeah, she would be writhing around in her seat if you.
I also feel like she would hate Weapons.
She would hate it. So I've been thinking about directors who make work that are very different than this because Wikipedia says that this is a favorite film of directors Park Chan-wook, Bong Joon-ho, and Gaspar Noé, and I get all of those. So I was trying to think like who's a director that I think is interesting, whose work is very different than this. And I thought of Jennifer Kent, director of Babadook.
Oh yeah,
she has seen Seconds.
I think she has. I definitely think she has. I know she did a little Criterion Closet video a while ago. I don't remember if she pulled this, but I know she mostly pulled other horror films and Australian films, which cool.
Did she pull Picnic at Hanging Rock?
She's got come on. How could you not? Wait a minute. I can find out. I feel like she pulled Peter Weir's The Last Wave.
Oh, okay.
Not
at least we got a Peter
Rock.
Weir.
So she pulled Hakusan, The Last Wave, Mulholland Drive, Koroneko, Onibaba, Tokyo Story, and A Man Escaped.
Those are good picks.
Some very good picks. A lot of more slow cinema and Japanese cinema in there.
We should do Onibaba. We're long overdue for that one.
We are very long. And Koroneko, both Shindo films. She rules. I think she has seen Seconds. But she probably saw Seconds in the 90s and hasn't seen it since then.
I think that's fair.
That's my
Do you think she would like this movie?
Yeah.
Or just kind of middling on it?
I think she would like it. But I think she would come out of it very energized. I know a lot of filmmakers. This is very much like a movie for filmmakers because the visual style of it is so loud and in your face. This is very much a movie where you can feel the hand of the director.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of filmmakers like this in that way. And the way that a lot of filmmakers talk about loving like Raising Arizona, where you're like, yeah, because the camera is going all over the place. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot of wide angle lenses. I get it. So I feel like she would like this, but I feel like this is a movie she hasn't revisited in a while. It also makes sense that a lot of those South Korean filmmakers like this because, again, a lot of American films didn't get to South Korea until the 90s. And this is a movie that was having its resurgence at that time. So it makes sense that like they would have gotten imports of this at the time. And again, like those two make movies like this, like holy shit. Well, speaking of filmmakers that we do know, like this movie, I was reading on Letterboxd that this movie was cited as a major influence on Kenneth Branagh. For
that's funny.
Wait, right? For A Haunting in Venice, his like last Poirot movie with Tina Fey. Weirdly,
I wanted to see that and I forgot. I just completely forgot it existed.
It's good.
I remember you saying that.
I've gotten some shit from both my girlfriend and from some friends for liking it. My girlfriend liked it too, but like I got shit from friends for liking it because of how awful Death on the Nile was, and I hate that fucking movie. But there's now a running joke that I like Kenneth Branagh, and I hate this running joke. It makes me mad. But I really like Haunting in Venice. And I like Dead Again. Dead Again's fun. But Haunting in Venice, like, there's an interview with him and the cinematographer on Letterboxd where they're specifically like, we sat down with a handful of movies as like visual reference, and the cinematographer loves Seconds and showed Seconds to Kenneth Branagh, who'd never seen it before. And Branagh was like, oh, that's awesome. Let's use as much of that visual style as possible in this. And that, of course, translates to a lot of fisheye lenses, a lot of spherical lenses, and a lot of wide-angle lenses. And there's another filmmaker recently who's been using a lot of that visual language, but in different kinds of films, in more so rather than using it to punctuate horror and science fiction, is using it to amplify and alter period filmmaking. Do you think Yorgos Lanthimos has seen Seconds?
Yummy, yummy, yummy. I love him so much. I just saw the trailer for his upcoming movie and I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm so hyped. Which is a remake of Episode 3 in film. It's perfect.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I think there's no chance on God's green earth that he has not seen Seconds, right? I mean, it seems like such a direct connection between Seconds to his work.
I think he would love it.
He would love it.
If anyone's going to remake this, let him remake it.
Oh, for sure. Although, let me remake it. Let me pitch this to Apple and get my own TV show, for God's sake. It's time.
Imagine like Yorgos Lanthimos, and it's Amy Madigan, and Amy Madigan goes under surgery to come out as Emma Stone.
Absolutely. There it is.
Sell it right now. Get me Yorgos' number. What's the exchange for Greece? Let's get him on the line.
That's like James Cameron writing Alien on the chalkboard and then adding an S.
The S and then the dollar sign.
The dollar sign to sell aliens.
Genius.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Bloodhaus. If you liked it, please rate it 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us at Bloodhaus Pod on Instagram, Blue Sky, Letterboxd. You can email us at bloodhousepod@gmail.com. Drusilla, where are you lurking?
You can find me and my work over at sisterhidedesign.com. Bunch of new stuff up there, so go check it out. It's 45 for Arrow, Train Dreams, the new Joel Edgerton film. Bunch of new stuff up there. Serpent Skin for Alice Mayer McKay. Been super busy. A lot of stuff is coming out. You can also follow me on Instagram and Blue Sky, I guess, at Sister Hyde. And you can follow me on Letterboxd. If you look for Drusilla Adeline or Sister Hyde, I'm on there. And you can see what I made of the late 90s Danny Boyle, Ewan McGregor movie, A Life Less Ordinary, which is
I saw that in the theater.
Super fucking weird, and I don't think it works.
No.
What about you, Josh? How can people try to get $5 out of you on the internet?
That offer no longer stands, but I am at Blue Sky, Letterboxd, and Instagram at Joshua Conkel. We are watching such a weird good one next week, one that we both love and I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. What's it going to be?
Well, we will be traveling to Spain, and we will be shaking off our cold sci-fi shackles of Americana and Seconds and going for a much more cozy, ooky, spooky gothic as I open up my coffin-shaped box set to watch the Spanish classic that launched a franchise, Tombs of the Blind Dead.
Ooh, can't wait. Thank you. See you next week. Bye.